global epidemic, WHO designation. Implications: health, well-being, daily functioning. Factors contributing to stress. Rapidly changing environments and social situations. Stress is natural consequence of disruptions. Understanding stress definitions. Stimulus-based definitions. Stress defined by external events causing strain. Views stress as environmental demands. Response-based definitions. Stress defined by internal reactions to external demands. Focuses on physiological responses. Both categories limited in capturing stress dynamics. Interactional definition. Stress as outcome of person-environment interaction. Result of interpretation of environmental stimuli. Most popular category in psychology. Cognitive appraisals of stress. Lazarus and Folkman's model. Primary appraisal, judgment of situation as positive or negative. Secondary appraisal, assessment of available resources. Reappraisal, ongoing evaluation based on situation feedback. Stress is subjective and can be self-created. It is an everyday phenomenon, experienced daily, not limited to specific occasions. Additive or cumulative effects. Multiple stressful events in a day can accumulate, impacting our system, mind, and body. Influence of culture. Culture shapes thought and interpretation processes, affecting how stress is perceived. Spillover effect. Stress from one domain of life can transfer to another, e.g., workplace to family life. Contagious nature. Stress can transfer between individuals, especially within close relationships. Types of stress: acute versus chronic, distress versus eustress, providing different categorizations of stress. Various sources of stress: frustrations, conflicts, life changes, performance pressure, and non-conformity contribute to stressful experiences. Top of form. Introduction to the fight or flight response, also known as the acute stress response. Immediate bodily reactions to stress include increased heart rate, perspiration, etc., providing extra energy to handle threats. General adaptation syndrome (GAS) explained, outlining the body's response to short-term and long-term stress. 3 stages of GAS: alarm reaction, resistance stage, and exhaustion stage. Stress connected to the brain and body through physiological reactions, involving activation of the amygdala and hypothalamus. 2 pathways activated in response to stress: sympathetic adrenal medullary (SAM) system and hypothalamic pituitary adrenal (HPA) system. SAM system triggers release of adrenaline and noradrenaline, while HPA system releases cortisol. Hormonal release in response to stress has various consequences on the body. Influence of stress on 2 brain regions, hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. Hippocampus responsible for learning, memory, and emotions, while prefrontal cortex manages executive functions. Gender differences in stress response, with females more likely to exhibit tend and befriend response. Tending involves protecting offspring and dependents, while befriending focuses on creating social networks for stress reduction. Evolutionary rationale for tend and befriend response in protecting species. Lecture recap: historical background and mind-body connection. Exploration of the historical background of stress and health research. Stress's connection to physical health emphasized, leading to various consequences. Understanding the mind-body interaction perspective, where the mind and body are seen as interconnected entities. Discussion on how mental experiences of stress influence the brain, leading to physiological changes and hormone secretion. Introduction to psychosomatic diseases, where mental factors may cause or worsen physical symptoms. Examples of psychosomatic diseases include heart diseases and diabetes. Introduction to branches of study like health psychology, psychoneuroimmunology, and mind-body medicine, founded on the idea of mind-body interaction. Pathways linking stress and health discussed. Physiological mechanisms: stress causes physiological changes leading to physical diseases. Behavioral changes. Stress leads to unhealthy behaviors such as poor diet, lack of sleep, smoking, and alcohol intake, which further deteriorate physical health. Connection between stress and non-infectious diseases explored. Cardiovascular disease is discussed as primarily connected with stressful experiences. Stress may cause wear and tear in heart muscles, excess release of stress hormones, and cholesterol, leading to atherosclerosis, blockage of heart arteries. Behavioral changes such as unhealthy eating habits can contribute to cardiovascular diseases. Discussion on Type A and Type B personalities. Type A, highly competitive, achievement-oriented, with a sense of time urgency and suppressed anger hostility, making them more vulnerable to stress-related diseases like heart disease. Type B, easy-going and relaxed individuals. Lecture 4. Stress linked to non-infectious diseases. Last lecture, stress linked to infectious diseases by affecting the immune system. Introduction to Psychoneuroimmunology, a field studying the relationship between psychological, neurological, and immune factors. Immune system regulation primarily by lymphocytes, including B cells and T cells. Impact of stress on the immune system varies based on stress type. Acute stress may temporarily boost the immune system by mobilizing resources or redistributing immune cells. Chronic stress is the leading cause of immune system dysfunction, deteriorating or suppressing immune functions. Mechanisms connecting stress to the immune system discussed. Release of stress hormones, especially cortisol in response to chronic stress, which suppresses various immune functions or cells. Behavioral mechanisms linked to stress-induced behavioral changes, such as excessive alcohol use, lack of exercise, and sleep problems, negatively impacting the immune system. Implications of study findings discussed. Stress weakening the immune system emphasizes the importance of interventions to mitigate stress, such as relaxation or psychotherapies to improve mental and emotional well-being. Studies indicate that stress management interventions, like cognitive behavior therapy, are correlated with improved immune functions, persisting for at least 6 months after the intervention. Traumatic experiences, especially high-intensity ones, can lead to the development of psychological disorders like schizophrenia, depression, anxiety disorders, acute stress disorder (ASD), and post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD). Acute stress disorder (ASD) occurs after experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event. Symptoms include anxiety, re-experiencing, avoidance, and dissociative symptoms. Typically lasts from 2 days to 4 weeks. If symptoms persist beyond a month, it may be diagnosed as PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD) evolved from combat history, particularly observed in war veterans from World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War. PTSD symptoms categorized into 4 primary categories: re-experiencing, avoidance, negative thoughts and feelings, and hyperarousal. Formalized as a diagnosis in the DSM-3 in 1980 due to advocacy efforts from various groups, including war veterans, feminists, and Holocaust survivors. Impact of PTSD on children. Diagnosing PTSD in children is challenging due to difficulties in articulating symptoms. Additional symptoms in children may include separation anxiety, psychosomatic symptoms, and loss of developmental skills. Studies suggest that children may exhibit PTSD symptoms despite challenges in diagnosis. Complex PTSD. Coined by psychiatrist Judith Herman to describe prolonged and repeated traumatic experiences like torture. Recognized as a formal diagnosis in the ICD-11. Develops after long-term traumatic incidents and includes symptoms such as disturbances in self-identity, emotional dysregulation, and difficulty establishing relationships. Stress can have positive effects alongside its negative impacts, often overlooked due to insufficient attention. 3 ways stress can have positive impacts. Stimulation. Stress motivates engagement in various activities. Preparation. Dealing with present stress prepares individuals to handle future stressful situations. Self-improvement and psychological growth. stressful experiences can lead to post-traumatic growth (PTG), resulting in positive psychological changes. Post-traumatic growth (PTG) describes positive psychological changes following overcoming difficult life circumstances. Common phenomenon not limited to exceptional cases. PTG and post-traumatic stress can coexist, indicating they are not mutually exclusive. Distinction from related terms. PTG occurs specifically after traumatic events, while thriving, flourishing, resilience, and recovery can occur in various circumstances. 5 domains of post-traumatic growth. Greater appreciation for life. More intimate and meaningful relationships. Sense of personal strength. New life possibilities. Spiritual and existential growth. Complex relationship between post-traumatic stress and growth. Post-traumatic stress may be necessary for PTG stimulation. Positive correlation between post-traumatic stress and PTG documented after various traumatic incidents, including medical problems, personal losses, and stressful careers like military service, police work, and emergency services. Secondary traumatic events can also stimulate PTG, where experiencing trauma in someone else's life activates growth. Janif Bullman's explanatory models. Strength through suffering. Suggests strength or hidden potential realized through suffering. Psychological preparedness. Adversities or crises help prepare for future stress by altering core beliefs. Existential re-evolution. Involvement in existential questions and meaning-making process leads to growth. Functional descriptive model by Tedeschi and Calhoun. Uses earthquake metaphor to explain PTG. Traumatic events shatter mental structures, leading to rebuilding for resilience. Processes and factors involved in PTG include distress reduction through self-disclosure. Organismic valuing theory of PTG by Joseph and Linley. Based on humanistic psychology's intrinsic motivation for growth. PTG consistent with innate motivation for expansion. Assimilation and accommodation explain diverse outcomes of trauma. Assimilation, adding new information to existing knowledge. Accommodation, changing existing knowledge structures to fit new information. Positive accommodation leads to PTG. Relationship between PTG and well-being. Positive correlation between PTG experiences and indicators of well-being such as self-esteem. Facilitation of PTG. Expert companionship, empathetic listening aids PTG. Understanding traumatic experiences, education on trauma's effects crucial for PTG. Emotion regulation and coping strategies, essential for reducing overwhelming emotions. Self-disclosure, vital for PTG to occur. Narrative development, developing coherent narratives post-trauma facilitates growth. Service to others, extending support to similar trauma survivors fosters PTG. Personality traits and stress reaction. Unique and relatively consistent patterns of thinking, feeling, and acting. Certain traits may influence stress reactions. Type A and Type B personality traits. Type A, time urgency, achievement orientation, anger hostility. Type B, easygoing, relaxed. Type A more prone to stress-related disorders like heart diseases. Psychological hardiness. 3 components: commitment, control, challenge. High commitment, engage with situations instead of fleeing. High challenge, view stress as opportunity for growth. Sense of control, believe in ability to affect outcomes. Acts as protective factor against stress, anxiety, and depression. Hardy people perform better under stress, and hardiness may be teachable. Locus of control. Internal, attribute outcomes to internal factors: ability, hard work. External, attribute outcomes to external factors: chance, fate. Internal locus of control associated with better stress coping and health outcomes. Wiener attribution theory explains achievement situations in terms of causality, stability, and controllability. Causality, internal versus External locus of control. Stability, stable versus unstable factors. Controllability, controllable versus uncontrollable factors. Attribution affects future motivation and emotional states. Coping strategies overview. Coping strategies encompass thoughts and behaviors used to manage stressful circumstances. Understanding coping is crucial for avoiding negative consequences of stress. Categories of coping strategies. Problem-focused versus emotion-focused coping. Problem-focused coping addresses the stressor directly. Emotion-focused coping deals with emotional consequences of stress. Engagement versus disengagement coping. Engagement coping actively confronts the situation. Disengagement coping involves avoiding or withdrawing from the situation. Adaptive versus maladaptive coping. Adaptive coping utilizes healthy strategies to address stressor effectively. Maladaptive coping employs strategies of limited value, offering short-term relief but exacerbating long-term issues. Common maladaptive coping strategies. Avoidance coping. Involves distancing from stressful events or emotions. Provides short-term relief but exacerbates long-term issues. Can lead to learned helplessness, where past experiences of uncontrollable situations affect future motivation and perception of control. Self-indulgence. Engaging in excessive, impulsive satisfaction of desires or urges. Often occurs during stressful circumstances. Provides temporary relief but fails to address the underlying problem. Internet addiction. Emerging issue due to excessive reliance on technology. May serve as a coping mechanism during stress but can lead to addiction and further problems. Self-blame and negative thoughts. Stressful circumstances may trigger rumination and catastrophic thoughts. Excessive dwelling on negative thoughts is counterproductive and maladaptive. Some individuals are more prone to negative thought patterns. Defensive coping mechanisms overview. Definition. Defensive coping mechanisms are unconscious strategies used to manage intense feelings and anxiety triggered by specific stimuli in the environment. They aim to shield individuals from overwhelming emotions. Roots in psychoanalysis. Sigmund Freud first explored defensive coping in his psychoanalytic theory, emphasizing unconscious ways of coping with anxiety. Freud's theory basics. Levels of the human mind. Conscious mind, aware of its contents. Subconscious mind, half conscious, half unconscious. Unconscious mind, contents not consciously accessible. Personality structure. ID, operates on the pleasure principle, seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Primitive and irrational. Ego, emerges around age 3, operates on the reality principle, balances inner desires with external reality. Superego, develops around age 5, represents morality based on societal norms and parental influence. Defense mechanisms. Denial, refusal to accept reality, often seen in situations causing anxiety. Displacement, redirecting emotions from the original source to a substitute target. Rationalization, justifying behaviors or feelings with logical reasoning, minimizing discomfort. Intellectualization, processing events in a detached, analytical manner to avoid emotional distress. Sublimation, channeling unacceptable impulses into socially acceptable activities. Adaptive role of defense mechanisms. Some mechanisms, like sublimation, are considered more adaptive and healthy. Excessive use of defense mechanisms may have negative consequences on mental health. Relaxation exercises for stress management. Introduction. Relaxation exercises are increasingly popular for coping with stress and anxiety. Various techniques are available, but we focused on 2, deep breathing and progressive muscle relaxation. Deep breathing. Also known as abdominal or diaphragmatic breathing. Breathing patterns are closely tied to mental states, shallow and rapid when stressed, deep and slow when relaxed. Practicing deep breathing during stress induces relaxation. Exercise example, illustrated a simple deep breathing exercise in the previous lecture. Progressive muscle relaxation (PMR) involves sequentially tensing and relaxing muscle groups to induce overall body relaxation. Works on the principle of creating contrast between tension and relaxation for deeper relaxation. Addresses both mental and physical tension. Stress in the mind often manifests as muscle tension. Step-by-step method, covered the process in detail in the previous class. Relaxation exercises are increasingly popular for coping with stress and anxiety. Various techniques are available, but we focused on two: deep breathing and progressive muscle relaxation. Deep breathing, also known as abdominal or diaphragmatic breathing. Breathing patterns are closely tied to mental states, shallow and rapid when stressed, deep and slow when relaxed. Practicing deep breathing during stress induces relaxation. Exercise example, illustrated a simple deep breathing exercise in the previous lecture. Progressive muscle relaxation (PMR) involves sequentially tensing and relaxing muscle groups to induce overall body relaxation. Works on the principle of creating contrast between tension and relaxation for deeper relaxation. Addresses both mental and physical tension. Stress in the mind often manifests as muscle. Mental coping mechanisms. Introduction. Explored coping strategies focusing on mental approaches after discussing physical coping methods. Emphasized the bidirectional relationship between thoughts and emotions, highlighting the ease of intervening at the thought level to influence emotions. Human information processing. Acknowledged human imperfections in processing information objectively, especially concerning oneself, the future, and the world. Discussed biases and dysfunctional thinking patterns that often stem from childhood and persist into adulthood. ABC theory by Albert Ellis. Introduced Albert Ellis's ABC model to elucidate how thoughts and emotions influence each other. A. Activating event. B. Belief system. C. Consequences. Contrary to common belief, events themselves do not directly cause emotional consequences. Rather, it's our beliefs about the events. Emphasized that activating events trigger unconscious and automatic belief systems, leading to emotional consequences. Irrational thoughts and emotional disturbances. Explored how psychological and emotional disturbances are often linked to irrational or catastrophic thoughts. Defined irrational thoughts as illogical beliefs that distort reality, leading to negative emotional consequences and hindering goal attainment. Identifying and disputing irrational beliefs. Stressed the importance of identifying irrational thoughts as the first step in addressing emotional disturbances. Advocated disputing negative thoughts by challenging their validity and replacing them with healthier alternatives. Proposed questioning techniques to dispute irrational beliefs effectively. Types of social support. Tangible support. Material assistance including money, services, and items. Informational support, suggestions, advice, and guidance. Emotional support, sympathy, kindness, empathy, love, and care. Invisible support, assistance provided without the recipient being consciously aware. Importance of social support. Highlighted empirical research findings demonstrating the crucial role of social support in stress management and overall well-being. Discussed the positive impact of social support on physiological aspects such as cardiovascular functions, stress-related hormones, and immune functions. Addressed how social support fosters health-related behaviors like healthy diet and exercise. Hypotheses on social support. Direct effect hypothesis. Social support benefits individuals in all contexts, not just during stressful situations. Buffer effect hypothesis. Social support is most significant during high-stress situations. Convoys in social network analysis. Utilize the convoy model of social network analysis to understand social support networks. Defined convoys as collections of individuals who accompany us throughout life's journey. Explored the varying degrees of closeness, relationship quality, and functions within social convoys. Introduced the use of concentric circles to evaluate the quality and deficiencies of social support networks. Increasing social support. Strategies included recognizing and resolving deficiencies in existing social networks and developing new relationships, including connections with pets. Defined meditation as achieving a state of thoughtless awareness or mental silence to break free from constant worrying and non-stop thought processes. Highlighted the peaceful and relaxing nature of thoughtless awareness, leading to various positive outcomes. Meditation techniques. Concentrative meditation focuses on a single stimulus, such as a sound, image, or bodily sensation, to achieve mental silence by removing all other thoughts. Mindfulness expands consciousness to neutrally observe thoughts, emotions, sensations, and environmental sounds without attachment or judgment. Therapeutic effects of mindfulness and meditation. Discussed various research findings indicating the beneficial effects of mindfulness, including stress reduction, decreased anxiety and depression, improved relationships, and enhanced physical health and immune function. Emphasized the positive impact of mindfulness and meditation techniques on mental and physical well-being. Mechanisms of mindfulness. Explored the mechanism of reperceiving, whereby mindfulness shifts perspective and perception, leading to disidentification from streams of thoughts, feelings, and sensations. Identified how disidentification fosters better emotion regulation, self-regulation, cognitive flexibility, and value clarification, contributing to positive changes. Hedonic versus eudaimonic well-being. Hedonic well-being. Defined in terms of pleasure, emotional experiences, happiness, and satisfaction. Termed as subjective well-being in psychology. Eudaimonic well-being, also known as psychological well-being, emphasizes personal growth, self-actualization, meaning, purpose in life, and positive relationships. Explored historical and philosophical roots of both traditions. Holistic approach to well-being. Advocated for conceptualizing well-being as a combination of hedonic and eudaimonic aspects. Highlighted the importance of considering both dimensions for a comprehensive understanding of well-being and its promotion. Keyes dimensions of positive mental health. Introduced Keyes model, which integrates hedonic and eudaimonic concepts of well-being. Identified 3 main dimensions of positive mental health. Emotional well-being focuses on positive emotions and life satisfaction. Psychological well-being addresses autonomy, meaning, purpose in life, positive relationships, and environmental mastery. Social well-being, described in terms of social integration, contribution, coherence, and actualization. Resilience overview. Defined as the ability to recover from adversity, threats, or life crises and resume normal functioning. Emphasized as a key component of well-being by many psychologists and theorists. Resilience as trait and process. Viewed as both a trait and a process. Trait, seen as a personal quality or personality characteristic. Process, dependent on the interaction of internal and external factors, can be acquired and developed over time. Connection between resilience and well-being. Although not clearly established in the literature, studies suggest that an increase in well-being enhances resilience. Components of well-being such as positive emotions and positive relationships contribute to resilience. Martin Seligman's PERMA model. 5 components of well-being. Positive emotions. Engagement. Relationships. Meaning in life. Accomplishment. Explored how these components contribute to both well-being and resilience. Enhancing resilience and well-being. Discussed strategies for increasing the components of the PERMA model and building resilience within oneself. Concept of happiness. Definition and variability. Happiness is a universal goal pursued through various paths and means, with individuals defining it uniquely. Psychological literature conceptualizes happiness as subjective well-being, measured through positive emotions, negative emotions, and life satisfaction. Subjective well-being (SWB). SWB includes feelings, emotional experiences, and overall life satisfaction. Positive emotions, low negative emotions, and high life satisfaction indicate high levels of happiness or subjective well-being. Positive psychology and research. Growth of positive psychology has led to extensive research on happiness and well-being in recent decades. Reliable measures and instruments have been developed to assess happiness and well-being accurately. Rue Veenhoven's model. Veenhoven proposed a model defining happiness in terms of quality of life and life satisfaction. 4 aspects of life: environmental livability, utility of life, lifeability, and life satisfaction, linked to happiness, particularly life satisfaction. Forms of life satisfaction. Explored various forms of life satisfaction as components of happiness. Understanding what makes us happy. Addressed the concept of effective forecasting and impact bias. Effective forecasting, predicting emotional consequences of future events. Impact bias, tendency to overestimate the intensity and duration of emotional impact of future events. Focalism, tendency to focus only on the event itself when making predictions, neglecting other factors influencing emotional reactions. Income and happiness. Relationship between income and happiness is complex and varies. Studies show weak to moderate correlation between money and happiness. Income's influence diminishes after a certain threshold, known as diminishing marginal rate. Easterlin paradox. Real per capita income increased but not accompanied by comparable rise in happiness levels, especially in Western countries. Possible causes include social comparison and adaptation theory. Age and happiness. No consensus on the relationship between age and happiness. Some studies find no link, while others find a positive or U-shaped association. Large-scale research indicates a U-shaped relationship. Happiness dips in middle age, rises in youth and old age. Plausible causes discussed. Gender and happiness. Gender differences exist in psychological disorders like anxiety and depression. Women are more prone to anxiety and depression, while men are more susceptible to alcoholism and antisocial personality disorders. Reasons speculated include biological, hormonal factors and differences in expression and seeking help. Education and happiness. No consensus on the association between education and happiness. Studies report various associations: positive linear, positive nonlinear, negative, etc. Education may enhance pleasure by improving skills and resources but may also increase aspiration levels beyond fulfillment, potentially reducing happiness. Broaden and build hypothesis. Proposed by Barbara Fredrickson. Positive emotions broaden thoughts and actions, counteracting negative emotions. Enhance resilience and develop various resources: physical, intellectual, psychological, and social. Positive emotions initiate an upward developmental spiral, leading to further positive consequences. Health benefits. Positive emotions act as protective factors for both physical and mental well-being. Positivity ratio. Fredrickson and colleagues found a ratio of 3 positive emotions to 1 negative emotion to be significant for psychological well-being and flourishing. This ratio stimulates positive development. Genetic composition influences our baseline level of happiness and emotional experiences. Twin studies demonstrate the hereditary influence on happiness levels. Personality traits like extroversion and neuroticism are linked to happiness, influenced by genetics. Extroversion positively correlates with happiness, while neuroticism negatively correlates. Hedonic adaptation. Psychological process where individuals return to baseline happiness after life changes. Protects against long-term emotional consequences, aiding in disengagement from past goals. Area model by Wilson and Gilbert describes the sequential process of hedonic adaptation: attention A, reaction R, explanation E, and adaptation A. People adapt differently to positive and negative events. Full adaptation to negative events may not occur, unlike positive events. Sustainable happiness model. Overview. proposed by Sonia Lyubomirsky and colleagues in 2005. Explores factors influencing sustained happiness and subjective well-being. 3 key determinants. Genetic factors 50%. Genetic set point establishes baseline level of happiness. Genetics influence personality traits, impacting emotional experiences. Life circumstances 10%. Includes stable facts about life, such as region, demographic factors, marital status, income, and health. Studies suggest life circumstances have minimal impact on happiness. Variance 8-15%. Adaptation to changes in life circumstances reduces their long-term effect on happiness. Intentional activities 40%. Conscious actions we choose to engage in regularly. Divided into behavioral, cognitive, and volitional activities. Provide a significant route to increasing and sustaining happiness levels. Within our control, unlike genetics and life circumstances. Boosting happiness through intentional activities. Overview. Address the question, can we increase happiness experiences? Explored limitations like genetic impacts and hedonic adaptation to life circumstances. Introduced the sustainable happiness model, genetics, life circumstances, intentional activities. Intentional activities. Defined as actions and thought processes in daily life contributing to happiness. Categorized into behavioral, cognitive, and volitional activities. Less prone to adaptation due to episodic nature and conscious engagement. Positive activity model. Identified specific positive activities enhancing long-term happiness. Practicing gratitude. Acts of kindness. Employing signature strengths. Clarifying values. Meditation and mindfulness. Factors affecting success. Frequency of engagement and variation in activities influence impact. Personal characteristics like motivation, belief systems, and personality traits determine effectiveness. Person activity fitness. Certain activities may be more suitable for certain individuals. Upcoming focus. Next lesson to focus on specific intentional activities for boosting happiness. Emphasis on cultivating happiness through gratitude exercises. Topics to cover: concept of gratitude, link to happiness, gratitude exercises, and challenges in practicing gratitude. Definition of gratitude. State of thankfulness or appreciation for what is useful and meaningful in life. Appreciation for things received from others or life in general. Ways to cultivate gratitude. Reflecting on life circumstances and acknowledging fortunate situations. Recalling positive experiences and memories. Thanking individuals who have positively contributed to our lives. Link between gratitude and well-being. Research indicates a positive correlation between gratitude and various indicators of well-being. Increases positive emotions while decreasing negative ones like depression and anxiety. Mechanisms connecting gratitude to happiness. Helps in coping with stress. Reduces upward social comparison. Boosts self-esteem and positive emotions. Enhances social connections and encourages pro-social behavior. Practicing gratitude. Keeping gratitude journals to regularly record things to be thankful for. Expressing gratitude directly to others, fostering appreciation in relationships. Potential barriers to gratitude. Cultural and attitudinal factors like victimhood, jealousy, and anger. Excessive focus on materialistic goals hindering appreciation. Personality traits such as narcissism may impede gratitude promotion. Definition of kindness. Any action taken to benefit another person. Includes both tangible acts and emotional compassion. Examples of acts of kindness. Ranging from grand gestures of charity to simple acts like smiling or offering words of encouragement. Compassionately listening to someone's problems, rescuing animals, spending time with the elderly, and environmental actions like tree planting. Evolution of kindness. Evolutionary mechanisms favor acts of kindness for individual, collective, and species survival. Principles such as kin altruism, mutualism, reciprocal altruism, and competitive altruism promote kindness behavior. Link between kindness and human happiness. Human happiness is intricately linked with kindness. Beyond evolutionary mechanisms, humans engage in kindness because it brings personal happiness. Acts of kindness boost happiness by altering self-perception, raising self-esteem, and improving perception of others. Kindness diverts attention from personal problems, develops a sense of purpose, and fosters a positive mindset. Positive repercussions of acts of kindness. Acts of kindness can have a ripple effect, leading to reciprocal acts and fostering a sense of community. Satisfies basic human needs for social ties and affiliations. Practicing kindness. Being attentive to the needs of others and cultivating a loving attitude. Kindness flows naturally from an open, sensitive, and caring heart. Overview of happiness-enhancing activities. Module 9 focused on happiness and explored activities such as gratitude, acts of kindness, and social comparison. Role of social comparison in happiness. Humans tend to compare themselves to others, impacting emotional well-being and happiness. Forms and processes of social comparison. Upward and downward comparisons. Assimilative and contrastive comparisons. Assimilative, moving towards or liking the target. Contrastive, moving away from or disliking the target. Self-evaluation consequences. Upward contrastive comparisons can negatively impact self-esteem, leading to feelings of inferiority. Assimilative upward comparisons may inspire and positively influence self-evaluation. Downward comparisons can have mixed effects, depending on whether they are assimilative or contrastive. Impact of social media on social comparison. Social networking platforms like Facebook provide fertile ground for social comparison. Excessive social comparison online reduces subjective well-being and happiness. Upward contrastive comparisons dominate as individuals portray their best selves, leading to negative self-assessment. Strategies to mitigate social comparison. Avoid excessive social comparison. Be mindful of the portrayal of others on social media. Focus on individual strengths and accomplishments rather than comparing oneself to others. Understanding psychological strengths. Psychological strengths encompass inherent capacities in thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Approaches to identifying psychological strengths. Researchers utilize various methods to identify and analyze psychological strengths. One such method is the VIA classification, value in action, developed by Peterson and Seligman. VIA classification of strengths focuses on character strengths, which denote morally desirable attributes crucial for happiness and well-being. Character strengths are specific psychological processes that define virtues, representing sub-dimensions of virtues. 6 main virtues in VIA classification. Wisdom and knowledge, courage, humanity, justice, temperance, and transcendence. Each virtue encompasses multiple character strengths, totaling 24 in the classification. Link between character strengths and happiness. Research indicates that character strengths associated with heart qualities, such as gratitude, kindness, and love, strongly correlate with well-being and happiness. Cultivation of character strengths. Character strengths can be nurtured through parenting, schooling, and socialization. Exposure to positive role models and consistent practice in daily life aids in cultivating character strengths. Emergence of character strengths in response to trauma. Studies show that individuals may develop certain character strengths spontaneously in response to significant traumatic events, including catastrophic traumas. Facing and overcoming traumatic events can lead to the development of resilience and other character strengths. Overview of psychological strengths. Psychological strengths play a vital role in enhancing happiness and well-being. 2 key classifications discussed: VIA classification and Gallup Strength Finder. VIA classification by Peterson and Seligman focuses on character strengths with moral desirability. Character strengths contribute to personal growth, fulfillment, and happiness. Gallup Strength Finder Approach. Developed by Clifton and Anderson, identifying 34 psychological strengths relevant in the workplace. Aimed to understand what makes individuals excel in their fields and achieve success. Concept of strengths in Gallup Strength Finder. Talent serves as the foundation of strength, representing innate abilities. Talents, when developed with knowledge and skill, become strengths. Gaining strength from talents leads to increased life achievement, contentment, satisfaction, confidence, and optimism. Research findings from Gallup. High performers recognize their talents and develop them into strengths. They leverage their strengths in roles and tasks that align with their abilities. Continuously seek opportunities to apply their talents creatively and effectively. Classification of strengths. Gallup identified 34 talents, strengths, and abilities categorized into 4 groups. Strengths related to executing or implementing solutions. Strengths related to persuasion. Strengths related to relationship development. Strengths related to strategic thinking. Introduction. Various tactics and strategies can enhance happiness and well-being. Previous discussions focused on specific techniques like practicing gratitude, acts of kindness with signature strengths, and fostering flow experiences. Flow experience. Defined as deep experiential involvement in moment-to-moment action. Attention is fully focused on the task at hand, and functional capacity is maximized. Occurs when working on challenging tasks that match one's skill level. Characteristics of flow. Strong attention and concentration. Loss of self-consciousness. Merging of action and awareness. Distortion of temporal experience. Consequences of flow. Flow experiences are associated with various positive markers of well-being and performance. Enhances feelings of satisfaction, fulfillment, and engagement. Strategies for fostering flow. Engage in tasks that match both challenge and skill level. Pursue activities that align with intrinsic interests and passions. Create an environment conducive to focus and concentration. Practice mindfulness and presence during activities. Introduction to eudaimonic well-being. Beyond emotional experiences and happiness, eudaimonic well-being encompasses concepts such as life's meaning, purpose, and self-actualization. Exploring self-actualization. Self-actualization is a key aspect of eudaimonic well-being. It involves striving for self-development, progress, and the actualization of latent potentials. Humanistic psychology perspectives. Abraham Maslow's theory. Developed the model of human need hierarchy. Human needs are organized hierarchically, with self-actualization as the highest need. Self-actualization is an intrinsic need that drives individuals towards fulfilling their highest potential. Carl Rogers' theory views self-actualization as a fundamental, innate motivation present in all life forms. It is the inherent drive for individuals to make the most of their existence. Recognizes the importance of being true to one's authentic self in achieving self-actualization. Conditions of worth and self-actualization. Societal expectations and cultural norms create conditions of worth. Individuals may deviate from the true selves to meet external criteria, leading to a gap between the true self and ideal self. Rogers suggests that a greater gap between the true self and ideal self results in greater neurosis or emotional instability. Introduction to eudaimonic well-being concepts. Beyond emotions and happiness, concepts like meaning and purpose play crucial roles in long-term well-being. Understanding self-determination theory. Focuses on motivation and well-being through the lens of basic psychological needs. 3 universal psychological needs: competence, relatedness, and autonomy. Meeting these needs enhances motivation, especially intrinsic motivation and well-being. Lack of fulfillment in these needs leads to decreased well-being and hindered performance. Types of motivation. Intrinsic motivation, engaging in activities for inherent satisfaction and enjoyment. Extrinsic motivation, engaging in activities for external outcomes like rewards or incentives. Subcategories of extrinsic motivation include external regulation, introjection, identification, and integration. Relationship between basic psychological needs and motivation. Meeting basic psychological needs fosters internalized forms of extrinsic motivation and enhances intrinsic motivation. Supporting these needs facilitates a sense of fulfillment and well-being. Introduction to meaning in life. Meaning and purpose are essential components of well-being. Beyond emotional well-being, they provide long-term stability and a sense of purpose in life.